Welcome, mainland Tasmanian tiger fans. It's all happening on the mainland as far as state government conservation monopoly goes. There are symptoms flying around everywhere in the last few weeks, and we'll go through a few. Any of you doubt Tasmanian tigers can be on the mainland? Well, just have a look at the incompetence we've got by these state government national parks and wildlife departments that we've got going on. It's been going on for since they've been in existence for about 50 years, most of them on the mainland, and before that they were just created from other conservation state government monopolies. It's the state governments that dominate conservation in Australia. The federal government plays a secondary role. So anyway, a couple of weeks ago, officially, the largest marsupial carnivore is the spotted-tailed quoll on the mainland of Australia. But look folks, a few weeks ago one was caught in a trap in a place that hasn't been seen for 130 years, a place called Beachport, southeast South Australia, mainland Australia of course. Gentleman just trapped it. Something attacked his chickens. So what did this gentleman do? Put out a cage trap and did something the lazy, incompetent rangers couldn't do, out of touch. And he captured a quoll. I mean, the rangers put one out later on and caught, well, most likely the same quoll, but it'd be very interesting to see just how many people have seen these things and reported it to the rangers, and they've lazily been ignored. But of course you have to take the rangers' word that that hasn't happened before, because they're a monopoly and they're accountable to themselves. So if you don't think introduced Tasmanian tigers could exist, for instance, after 130 years, then, well, look at this. This species could. Quoll. So they've got no idea how many there are in South Australia there, no idea. So now they're actually doing what they should have done decades ago, these lazy rangers. And the district rangers going on about, oh, what a big surprise. Well, it's not a big surprise when you've got a bunch of time servers. Serving in a monopoly should be opened up to private enterprise competition. Same with all the others. All the others around Australia. Don't be surprised there are Tasmanian tigers who have a bigger territory than quolls, by the way. And people are reporting to seeing them in the southeast of South Australia. I spent a lot of time around Mount Gambier, so looking for Tassie tigers, and in far southwest Victoria in the Portland catchment, which is not far from Beachport. And I've had reports around Beachport of, well, one report of an alleged Tasmanian tiger. So that's one species that popped up. Here's another one this week in New South Wales. Long-footed potoroo, seen for the first time ever. It's far south of the state, in the Bondi State Forest. This came out yesterday. And about 20-30 years ago they found some droppings related to this animal down the south of the state. So they knew it was around. But once again, first time ever, I'm pretty sure they said in this article, long-footed potoroo found. More national parks and wildlife incompetence. Who found this one? Well, it was the forestry department. Forestry department, folks. It wasn't the incompetent ranger time service in national parks and wildlife, or the scientists in the incompetent conservation department. It was the forestry department. So once again, two examples in two different states of mainland Australia of mammal incompetence, mammal management incompetence within a month of each other. And then in the territory on the mainland, the Northern Territory, we had a tragedy reported last weekend of a woman killed by a falling tree branch in the Darwin Botanic Gardens. Now that's managed by the National Parks and Wildlife Department, a monopoly up there for a long time as well. And anyway, there's been two other people killed by falling trees. I think they were African trees. This one was a South American species, And anyway, their whole articles are basically they're protecting their backside, saying, oh yeah, we weren't aware of this species and we've got a botanist now that's looking at this species. Well, you should know this stuff before it happens, folks. We've had somebody die, tragically. So once again, more job for life incompetence by a state government monopoly. No competition, folks. And then, there's 2 states and territories I've showed you. We'll have a look at this one. This is Queensland. This is an ongoing fiasco this year. Now they've had, since about 1975 up there in Queensland, the National Parks and Wildlife, since it was formed, about 50 years on that Fraser Island with the dingoes to do basic dingo management. But you think the job for life is in the National Parks and Wildlife can manage that? No, they just blame the public. Now, sure, there are some morons feeding them, but the fact is that, you know, they still haven't even completed their DNA survey on these things after 50 years. They don't even know enough about the dingo. Nothing to do with lack of resources, folks. The resources go into the wages of job for life. Ranges that have got no competition. So you get garbage like this that unfolds year after year on Fraser Island, and you get a bunch of lazy, incompetent rangers giving every excuse, except the real excuse, that they've got a job for life monopoly with no competition from the real world. So that's 3 states. And this happened in July. So in the last few months, you've got stupidity in South Australia, National Parks Wildlife, New South Wales, Queensland, and you got Northern Territory. And then of course, all of this is reported on the ABC news site. And I use the ABC because, unfortunately, the ABC, being left-leaning, they don't question why we have conservation monopolies. Public sector union dominated. And that's because it's well known the federal government's media arm, which is Australian Broadcast Corporation or whatever, ABC, they're basically a front for the Labor Party, biased towards the Labor Party, it's well known. And of course the unions, especially the public sector unions, dominate the Labor Party. And that's one of the reasons the ABC never ever questions, even when, you know, Black Saturday, for decades the ABC don't question why we have public sector union dominated conservation monopolies. They just go through the symptoms and, you know, they have some sort of lefty expert explain it away, but they never get to the point, folks, of no competition from the real world of private enterprise here, just job for life time serving with people that are unaccountable doing a pathetic job for our environment in these various national parks and wildlife departments and environment departments. And it really needs to be opened up to competition, folks. I know I bang on about it, but there's just symptoms and there's a lot more here. This is just what's making the news. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make the news, and country people watching this would know what I'm talking about. And it's, they've had 100 years to, the environment departments to implement basic ecological burn regimes in these states, but they haven't. And we get all these bushfires, and now you get the lefties here at the ABC blaming the bushfires all on global warming, even though bushfires have been getting out of control for decades, well before the latest global warming, including in the 70s when there was an ice age scare. Who could forget that one? I remember that growing up, ice age. Now it's global warming. But the bottom line is that, it's just not enough burns, and they're not in the right areas. That's because you've got monopolies with no competition, just incompetence. So anyway, folks, if you're wondering how the hell Tasmanian tigers can be on mainland Australia, well, just have a look at all this incompetence, from dingo to potoroo to quoll to people getting killed by trees, and on it goes, folks. The bottom line is there hasn't been enough mammal surveys done to rule out the existence of the Tasmanian tiger on mainland Australia. And it's certainly all 3 possibilities are open still. Introduced, remnant, or both on the mainland. So, it's sad to report this news, but this is what's happening, folks. And thank you for your interest. this off.